me getting up in the morning and brushing my teeth is not amazing, okay? It
You're an
really isn't.
inspiration.
Yeah, I'm
Your
not for
teeth
that.
are very white and beautiful.
Thank you, thank you.
Welcome to the Disability Clinic, where we unpack complex concepts about disability, diversity, and inclusion. I'm Dr. Stephanie Van, and we're continuing our conversation with Thomas Reid, who is sharing his perspective as a blind man, a black man, and a disability advocate.
Even within disability advocacy, disability rights, we don't see people of color as much as we do people who are white in those positions. But there's a lot of people of color doing that work, but they're not necessarily elevated or amplified all the time, right?
Yeah, just because they're in a disability forum or a setting doesn't automatically mean it's an instantly more accepting or inclusive environment necessarily.
Absolutely.
Like even within certain communities, there's ostracism and like othering that happens.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's so many levels to that, right? Within the blind community, there were times where people who had other disabilities may have felt, I don't want to say discriminated, but they didn't have their access, right? So I know some folks who may have been a wheelchair user, for example, and the meetings were held in an inaccessible place to them. They couldn't get into the meeting.
I love that we're talking about this because it's so funny how much, one disabled person can learn from another disabled person. It's like you've got the dynamic of people who aren't disabled, they need to learn so much from the disabled community. But then within the disabled community, there's so much diversity that like there still needs to be so much communication and like bridge building to improve understanding and inclusivity across what is perceived by the majority as one singular minority.
Absolutely. My whole way of thinking over the years about disability, about the public, about what needs to happen, quote unquote, continues to evolve. Like in the beginning, I was like, the public, non-blind people, sighted people, able-bodied people, all of that, they need to know this. We need to teach them about accessibility. We do. We need to teach them about audio description or whatever the case may be, all of this stuff. And that's true. But man, within the community, we need to know. We talk about ableism. There's ableism within the community, especially for folks like myself adjusting to becoming blind. When you're new to blindness, this is your first time probably thinking about, or any disability, this is probably your first time thinking about disability and realizing the misperceptions you have inside of you. And so to me, I feel like now at this point in my life, I'm more concerned with that. There's more of an opportunity to help them. I say help, but I mean, it's all everyone thinks about it differently and everybody should have their way of thinking about it. So maybe help isn't the right word, although I'm still going to use it. Because I do think they need help.
Teach too. I feel like teach or share even.
Share is the word. Share is definitely the word. So share that perspective. I feel that's more important for me right now in my place. And I feel like there's more of an opportunity to make an impact there for those people.
I love that because it's not like that is still beyond your earlier mission when you were kind of early in your advocacy journey. Like that's still a very valuable thing. And if anything, it's even more widely applicable. It's like you're realizing that to really share with everybody, you got to share with the people who you think you didn't need to share with.
That's right.
Maybe in
That's
the beginning.
Right.
I like that you're talking about how your approach to advocacy has changed because I still consider myself very much in the infancy. I've been in the game for a couple of years. Like, I think the pandemic, one of the silver linings was I got thrown into new social media platforms and started communicating with new circles of people. And I think this happened with a lot of people all over the world, which is amazing. Like, I think this is the first time humanity has been so connected with each other or had as many opportunities to share. I'm early on in my journey, but I feel lucky because those of us who are just getting into this movement, we can directly benefit from the years of wisdom people in your generation have accumulated, throughout your entire lives. So I'm honored, really.
Well, I'm just a teenager. In that journey, I'm literally, I'm just a teenager. Literally 18 years, and so the same thing. I mean, the importance of meeting people, that's everything to me. That's
Mhm.
everything to me. That's why I have the podcast. That's totally everything to me, because the people are what helped me get to the place, and continue to help me get to the place where I'm trying to get to, I guess. And on this whole journey, the instruction, the rehab and all of that, O&M instruction, fantastic. I love them. I still talk to my teachers. I love them. But the people who are experiencing blindness, who are experiencing disability, that's where the wealth of information and knowledge is held.
I completely agree. I feel like that's really the key that unlocks so much understanding when
Yeah.
people open the door to this movement for themselves. Like it's the nothing about us without us. How do you handle it when you meet people who are very curious about your journey?
I talk to them. Like I'm
Oh, that's
I'm
easy.
totally, yeah, that's it. Good night. Good night, everybody. As long as people are respectful, I don't mind questions. I enjoy that. I enjoy that opportunity. I think that's a blessing. That's part of the mission. That's to share that
Yeah.
information and make that change. The only problem that I have are those who don't come at it in that respectful way. So there's the blind jokes, and folks start doing that. It's like, dude, you don't know me. There's people that I know who I've known for several years, and they still show their uncomfort because they immediately go to the jokes. I'm like, you're not privy. You can't go to the jokes because you can't be serious yet.
Yeah, they're
It should
still
be,
putting up that wall of like,
yeah,
I'm too uncomfortable to
yeah.
be vulnerable and admit that I don't fully understand this.
Exactly. I do nothing amazing that well, no, I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah,
But
don't
it's
start to
not what,
start.
yeah. But it's not what the people are thinking is amazing. Like me getting up in the morning and brushing my teeth is not amazing, okay? It
You're an
really isn't.
inspiration.
Yeah, I'm
Your
not for
teeth
that.
are very white and beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. And if I've known you for, X amount of years, and you still think something like that is amazing, then you
Mhm.
really don't know me.
I just recently did a seminar because I'm a huge advocacy nerd. But we were talking about inspiration porn and about how when people who are not familiar with the disabled community, when they create inspiration porn, or basically they use people who with disabilities as objects of inspiration to be like, oh wow, what a wonderful story. That's so empowering. That's for them. Like that's for
Yeah,
their own feel good moment and
yeah,
has nothing to do with the person they're talking about as actually being a whole person.
yeah. I mean, that happens a lot. My guess is that the majority of the stories that we see about disability in the media are some form of that, and there's some that are more egregious than others. But there's a lot of it. To be honest with you, I get nervous about whether or not I'm doing that. Again, I'm a teenager, right? I'm just a teenager in this, and I know I have internal ableism. I believe we all do.
Yeah, that's
And
good that you acknowledge that. I think that's a sign of a
yeah,
mature teenager.
yeah, thank you. Tell my mom. No. So, I try to think about that and ask the question, okay, who is this for? Who am I centering? That's what I'm always going to go to, because I don't want to be involved in that. I really don't, because it's
Right. You don't want to be part of the problem.
no,
I don't have a degree in disability studies, but just being
nor
the
do I.
fact that you're in the community, you have
Hmm.
personal experience, you've been a speaker and an advocate, I think that gives you a position as a somewhat of an authority, a leader in terms of dictating how these quote unquote inspirational stories how they should be portrayed, because there are lots of people with disabilities who are inspirational. Like there's no question that there are scholars, there are activists throughout history, throughout disability history, that are amazing.
Yeah,
It would be a disservice to their work if the community now couldn't feel proud of that and
right.
and feel like, that's not inspiration porn, that is true inspiration.
Yeah.
That is what needs to be shared with the world. That I think making that louder quiets down the stuff that isn't the real thing.
And those things, like highlighting the things that people do, and even the things that they have to come up with in order to achieve those things, right? That's cool. That's yes, that's that type of inspiration that is fine, because someone who is new, again, I'm always thinking of the person who is new to blindness and disability in general. And so they need to know that. That's what's important, because when you, like I said, when you first meet the people, because you might be thinking, as someone who loses your sight, for example, oh, what can I do as a blind person, right? What can I do? And then you see that, well, you could do pretty much anything, because there are blind lawyers, and you may not be interested in the law. Okay, I don't want to pursue the law, but there's blind tech people. Okay, I'm not really interested in tech. There's blind artists, all of that, right? Audio makers, all of that. And it's like, oh, wait, that interests me. Okay, how do they do it? And then you can find the specific things. Like that's cool. Yeah, I'm in the community. I've been doing the work, and I have the opportunity to speak sometimes, but I still need to check myself, because there's a lot of people who do all of those things, and I won't agree with them. You know what I mean?
It doesn't make them automatically correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I always want to kind of keep that mind frame to make sure that someone can say to me, hey, you might want to look at this differently, because the way you did X, Y, Z, or when you said this, I need to be open to that. You know what I mean?
You're just proving to me that you are like what the movement needs and what the movement wants, because any good leadership, whether that's in an advocacy movement or like in an industry or whatever you want, the leadership has to be receptive to feedback and always seeking to improve, or else it's, corruptible and in it for the wrong reasons. So you're just proving my point that you're a leader in the movement. Thank you.
All right, well, cool. Well, thanks.
Cool.
If you think the best kind of leadership is the kind that welcomes feedback, hit the like button and share any feedback you have in the comments below. In the next segment of our conversation with Thomas, we get to find out how he got involved with doing audio descriptions for popular movies and TV shows.
Text Appears, a Netflix original series. The following series is designed to entertain and inform, not provide medical advice. You should always consult your doctor when it comes to your personal health or before you start any treatment.
So subscribe to Disability Clinic and hit the bell icon to get notified when our next video drops. Until next time, thank you for watching, listening, and learning.
Yeah. I don't usually like interviews.
What, oh, really?
Yeah, I really don't usually like interviews. But this was cool. I really enjoyed it.
I'm so glad.